So real world examples, API in action. This is where Sean's going to take over, but we've got some real world examples, some custom automation tools, some workflow improvements, and I'll hand things over to Sean now. We'll include automatic automation of drawing packages and some PD options in the ERP friendly exports as a little preview of what we're about to see. So I'm going to stop sharing and give the reins over to Sean.
All right, so like we said, this is going to be focused on SolidWorks. So I'd like to start just by demonstrating what we can do in SolidWorks with the API, and then we'll look at what we can do outside of SolidWorks because we can use the API outside of it. And we'll talk a little bit about PDM as well, because chances are if you're using SolidWorks and you develop a product, you're probably using PDM, which also has an API. So there's some aspects there to discuss. So inside of SolidWorks, what you can see is obviously anything we change in the user interface. So we do that via add-ins. So just loading up the add-ins menu here, you get some default ones with SolidWorks depending on your license level. And then third-party ones or custom ones show up here. So you can see I've loaded a demo add-in here called the CAD Sharp SolidWorks add-in. And we distribute these via an MSI. So a Microsoft installer package, pretty standard. For larger add-ins or integrations, we can also implement automatic updates. But for smaller ones, you just get a new MSI and run it to automatically update the one in SolidWorks. So once you have an add-in installed, we can do a few things with that. So first thing is it usually shows up in your tools menu. If you ever get an add-in from us, it will show up here. And we add commands. So you're always going to get a simple about command that just says what the add-in does, the version. If there's automatic update functionality, it'll be implemented here. Note that that launches a custom window. So we can put anything we want in these windows and add functionality there. A good example of that is typically you'll have a settings window with settings that apply to the add-in specifically. So here's, again, this is all demo data, but here's an example of one. A few different settings you might want to have in a SolidWorks add-in. I should also mention that all of these use cases are going to be very simple. So we can make these as big or complex as necessary. But for sake of demonstration, we're going to keep it really simple. So that's the first part. We can add simple commands. Those are actually real SolidWorks commands, meaning they show up in your user interface customization options, and you can move them around as you see fit. By default, we'll usually add a couple toolbars. In this case, I've got a simple one here with some simple commands you can see. But like I said, you can move those around and create your own toolbars.